In this video, I want to talk about my thoughts on Wes Watson and who he's become, because I actually really like Wes. A couple of years ago, he spoke at my event, and when he was just like on the rise coming up. And I want to primarily do this video to help you choose a mentor. And obviously, Wes is a big name. He's an easy guy to talk about because a lot of people know what's going on. And I'm not here to bash the guy. In fact, if you're a believer, if you're a Christian, I believe that we should be praying for him every day. And as we should be praying for all of our brothers who are, battling the flesh and the temptations of the world. Like, all of us can stumble and fall. So this video is not here to bash him, but I do want to point out some lessons. And I think the reason I'm comfortable shooting this video without like putting myself in like, I'm trying to get clickbait or be a controversial, guy now to get attention, is because I see myself in him. And, I think what I want to just caution men with this video here is that when you're picking a mentor, you have to ask yourself a fundamental question. Would you trade your life with theirs? And what I see a lot of people doing is like they want Wes's stuff, but they don't want Wes's life. And it's true, right? There's a lot of people that we would say, I would love to have, 𝗤𝘂𝗲𝗄𝗏𝗔's business success as well, but I wouldn't want his life. He seems empty. And I don't mean that to be mean, but I do feel like there's an emptiness inside of him, and it's because he doesn't have God in his life. All right. That's me looking from the outside in. I wouldn't want to be 𝗤𝘂𝗲𝗄𝗏𝗔. Would I want some of his success? Absolutely. It looks amazing what he's accomplished, and it's really neat. But I understand that when you're picking a mentor, you have to understand that we're not one-dimensional human beings. You don't get one without the other. And I really look at not what these folks are flexing, but what fruit they're producing. Now, I would be crazy to say that, Wes hasn't produced fruit. He's got lots of people's lives that he's changed. You can check his social media, and tons of people have transformed their lives from his advice. And I think this is where we kind of let these guys off, where we say, yeah, but we justify that, but people are getting helped in the process. People are losing their fat. They're, raising their standards. They're, stepping up, right? And we just kind of brush the other stuff aside. And I'm here to say that we need to be very careful about that. And if you're going to say, hey, I want to follow this guy's mentorship, I want to get in this guy's program, we have to also be aware that he's going to influence you in everything else that he does. And I think that is one of the most naive things that us as mentees don't appreciate that happens in a mentorship. You don't understand how they're influencing you in every other shape or form. If your mentor is, flaunting watches and houses and how much money they make, and they're, showcasing the roster of women that they're rotating through, like, you're telling me that's not going to rub off on you? No, because that is somebody that is being driven by a hole, by insecurity. When I see that, all I see is somebody with massive, massive insecurity. And the way I can detect it is because I see it in myself. I do it too. You guys can go on my YouTube video and you'll see that I drop numbers too. You know where that comes from? An insecurity in myself that I am not enough. I am seeking validation. I am seeking attention. I am seeking dopamine. I want people to say that Vince is important. Vince is famous. Look, Vince has got his SHIT together. Oh, I want to be like Vince Del Monte. And guess what? This is all because I am not content with myself. If I was truly content with myself, I wouldn't have to showcase all that stuff. I would have a spirit of humility. I would understand that this is all his to give and mine to manage. I would be so much more humble. So this is my caution, and my main issue with Wes is that, these guys let their success get to their head and they become very arrogant. In fact, they become arrogant pricks, and they push people with shame and with guilt and with fear, and not through love and not through compassion and not through connection, and do those forms of coaching, hitting somebody over the head with a sledgehammer. Does that help? Short term, it does. And yeah, many men do need a wake-up call and need to be, told what to do and need to be called out on their BS. But when you're primary fuel source is coming from a place of anger and from trying to prove yourself, that is not sustainable. Eventually, you're going to hit a wall and you're going to see that like, I can't sustain this because the pressure is going to become too unbearable because you're attracting people into your world because of all the external things. And I know this because I had a Bentley for a period of time. And when I started to flash the Bentley, I started to attract different types of people into my world. People are very externally driven. People were coming in for different reasons. They wanted to get laid. They wanted to become famous. They weren't looking to take care of their families. They weren't looking to, make a solid reputation for themselves. They had different ambitions that weren't in alignment with mine because I was out of alignment with myself. Is this making sense? Is this resonating? So the slippery road these guys go on is like, where else can he go? How many, is he going to get 15 cars? Is he going to get 10 mansions? Is he going to have multiple girlfriends? Like where are they going? Right? These are all things that just basically say, look at me. Look how insecure I am. And I've got everything that a man could ask for, but I'm still pushing hard. And then they will say it's because of impact. It's because, I'm here to make a difference. I would love to see you do it without all that stuff. That would be my challenge, right? And that stuff plays a massive, massive role in their success. And all I'm saying is that you have to ask yourself, is that a sustainable fuel source? Or are those survival strategies that are creating what is perceived success? But deep down, these guys have no peace. They have no contentment, right? If the camera's not on them, if they're not getting attention, if their numbers aren't going up, if they don't have a hotter girl on their arm, like this is a drug. These are very serious things. And I see so many guys get pulled into that world thinking that these guys are happy. And I don't know if they truly are. In my strong opinion, they don't seem content. They seem unsatiable. And a lot of people would say that's a good thing. To what point? To what point? To where you start to sacrifice your reputation, you sacrifice your character, where you're willing to say whatever on social media to get more clicks and to get more attention? That is not a man. That is a kid. That is a 13-year-old boy, maybe a 16-year-old boy, a 22-year-old boy. That is a child that hasn't resolved wounds. He's saying that I've done all the healing, but a guy that's healed isn't out there flaunting everything to show like, look at me, because they've got self-validation and they can spin it any kind of way they want. Anybody who's actually gone through true healing knows it's just a story to convince themselves to keep pursuing those things because it makes them feel important. And again, I share all this not from a place of I'm up here and I figured something out. I'm sharing this from a place of relatability. I get it. It is hard for us men who've been injected with all this passion and ambition, and we want to make a name for ourselves. And these are great things. That's the stuff that I do admire. I admire his work ethic. I admire his drive. I admire his consistency. I admire his discipline. Like I admire all that. That is fantastic. Those are great traits. But we also have to ask, who are they crediting for all of this? Are they crediting themselves? Are they, pumping their own chest? Or do they recognize that they are on a mission that's bigger than themselves? And again, for us believers, we need to just be careful. It's a slippery slope. It's a tempting slope. I get it, right? The four main things that take every man out are fame, fortune, passion, or I'd say more so pleasure, and power. These are the things that we as men need to be on our guard. And again, these are all things of the world. These are things that will not last. At the end of the day, they don't matter. And this is not a message to settle and to not go after your goals and to kick back and, not go after it. But there is a line. There is a line. And I think that's where we're all trying to figure out. And deep down if you're crossing the line. And that's all I wanted to share today. I'm praying for Wes. I think he's got a lot of great traits. I believe I hope things work out in a really, really positive manner for him. I know he's going through a lot. At times, these guys sometimes have to learn the hard way. I had to learn the hard way. A lot of us men, anybody who has had a real transformation, a real change, we had to go through some serious pain. So I share this with compassion. I hope this didn't come across as judgment, but at the same time, he's a guy that everybody knows. And I think that we just need to be careful who we choose as our mentors. Let me know what was most helpful for you. If you want to add anything, let me know in the comments below, and just choose your mentors wisely. Have a great day. Ciao. Oh, yeah.